What is up guys, and welcome back to my second channel. My name is Nouman and today's video is going to be about the offensive and defensive organizations of a 4-3-3 formation. In the last video we tried to discuss the build-up and the pressing pattern of a 4-3-3 formation, so if you guys haven't watched that video, please click the link in the description to watch it now. So before we talk about the offensive variations of a 4-3-3 formation, first we need to understand some of the basic attacking principles. Your team needs to know what to do depending upon where they are on the ground. Generally, the football ground is divided into three different parts, which are commonly known as the defensive third, midfield third, and the final third. When your team has the ball in the defensive third, your main focus should be on distribution and moving the ball out of the back as quickly as possible. As a team, you always want to avoid 1v1 positions when playing out from the back, because a mistake in the defensive third can cost you the game. When your team has the ball in the midfield third, your main focus should be on penetration. But you need to decide when to penetrate and when to possess. And this is why you need midfielders who not only have a good vision to play a forward pass to open up the defense, but you also need players who can keep hold of the ball if a forward passing option is not available. They should be able to rotate possession and wait for the right moment to move the ball in the final third. Good decision making on when to penetrate and when to possess will greatly help your team. When your team is in the attacking third, your main focus should be on creating chances to score goals. The 4 S's will actually help you to create chances to score goals. And these 4 S's are speed, space, sport, and surprise. I will try to make a separate video in the near future in which I will try to discuss the different areas of the football ground, and that's when we will also talk about these 4 S's in detail. So there are two main offensive variations of a 4-3-3 formation. The first offensive variation is called a 2-3-2-3 formation, which is also known as the WW formation. And those of you who have watched my first video on the evolution of football must have seen that this variation was first used by Vittorio Pozzo, who won back-to-back World Cups with Italy using this system. The second offensive variation of a 4-3-3 formation is a 2-3-5 formation, which is also known as the pyramid. And this formation was very popular in the 1890s and the early 1900s. So what exactly is the difference between these two variations and how do we use them? Let's try to have a look at Manchester City's offensive organization and how they use the WW formation with the ball. So as we all know, Pep Guardiola mostly likes to use a 4-3-3 formation at Manchester City. With possession, Guardiola wants his wingers to stay as wide as possible, and they are mostly on the touchline. The plan is to make the field as wide as possible and stretch the opposition defense by forcing the fullbacks to step out. The opposition fullbacks step out to cover the wide wingers, and Aguero usually keeps the centre-back engaged. This opens up the space in the inner corridor for the two attacking midfielders to occupy. The two attacking midfielders attack the spaces in between the fullbacks and the centre-backs. And the two fullbacks usually step in the midfield to replace the two attacking midfielders, and they play as the inverted fullbacks. And this way, the overall formation of the team becomes 2-3-2-3 with possession, which is also known as the WW formation. And here we can see the complete picture of Manchester City's attacking 2-3-5 or 2-3-2-3 formation. Two wide wingers, two attacking midfielders, attacking the half spaces, and a striker making a front line of 5 men. And we also have two inverted fullbacks occupying the spaces that were left open by the two attacking midfielders. This formation, however, does leave you a bit exposed on transitions, as spaces are available on the wide areas for the opponents to exploit on the counterattacks. But this is where the deep line playmaker or the defensive midfielder comes into play. To play this system perfectly, you need a defensive midfielder who is also comfortable at playing the centre-back position. When the opponents try to play a long pass on the transition in one of these wide areas, the centre-back will step out to cover the wide area, and the defensive midfielder will immediately drop in the defense to replace his centre-back. This way the centre-back can cover the wide area, and at the same time, you also have a player in the central zone to cover the central spaces. In a 2-3-2-3 formation, your main focus is to open the gaps in the half spaces for the two attacking midfielders. These attacking midfielders are the ones who are normally responsible for creating the chances for the team. Unlike the 2-3-2-3 formation, the main focus in a 2-3-5 formation is on the wide spaces. And this is why at Manchester City, the main creators are De Bruyne and David Silva, because Man City try to attack the half spaces, while at Liverpool, their main creators are the two fullbacks, Arnold and Robertson, as Liverpool try to create spaces on the wide areas. So how exactly the 2-3-5 formation works? Liverpool also like to set up their team in a 4-3-3 formation, but their attacking pattern is completely different from Manchester City. Unlike Manchester City, Liverpool's wingers play very narrow with possession, as they try to force the opposition fullbacks narrow to open the spaces on the wide areas. These wide spaces are occupied by the two attacking fullbacks, who are also responsible for delivering crosses inside the box. Just like Man City, Liverpool also have an offensive line of 5 men, a midfield of 3 and 2 centre-backs. But their main focus is not on the half spaces. They mainly try to create their chances from the wide areas using their two attacking fullbacks. And here we can see Liverpool's offensive formation of 2-3-5. The front three are keeping the defense narrow, and they are trying to create spaces on the wide areas for the fullbacks. Very similar structure to Manchester City, but a completely different system. Man City tried to stretch the opposition defense, while Liverpool tried to force the defense narrow. In Man City's offensive formation, we have a front line of 5 men consisting of 2 wingers, 2 attacking midfielders and 1 striker. While in Liverpool's system, we also have a front line of 5 men, but with 2 wingers, 1 striker and 2 fullbacks. So again, very similar team structure, but 2 different variations, where one team tries to attack the half spaces, while the other one tries to attack the wide spaces. Defending in any formation mainly depends on the opponents that you are trying to play against. As I tried to explain you a few minutes ago, Man City and Liverpool are the 2 teams that mainly try to dominate possession, and they spend 80% of their time in the opponent's defensive third. So when it comes to defending, they mainly have to stop the counterattacks and quick transitions. And I've already explained you how the centre-back step out and the defensive midfielder drop in the defense to stop the transition. But generally when your team doesn't have the ball, your main job is to make the playing area as narrow as possible. The entire team should move as one unit and make the playing area as narrow as possible. Your wingers should ideally drop in the midfield without possession, and a team should have a 4-4-2 or 4-5-1 formation without the ball. If the possession is in the central zone, make the central area as narrow as possible. If the ball goes to one of the sides of the ground, move to that side as a unit, and make that playing area as narrow as possible. When you make the playing area narrow, you make it super difficult for the opponents to find open passing lanes. So that was all from today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.